In 1731, a fire broke out in London's Cotton Library. To protect some of the world's most valuable manuscripts, including one-of-a-kind illuminated Bibles, centuries-old Arthurian stories, and even a copy of the Magna Carta, librarians desperately threw books out of the windows. But while they could not save everything, they did manage to rescue the only known copy of a strange Scandinavian poem. An epic written in Old English, Beowulf is famous for its haunting monsters, dreamlike language, and fearful point of view, where violent dangers are always waiting at the edges of society. The story begins in the Great Hall of Denmark, as King Hrothgar and his people celebrate what they hope will be the start of a peaceful new time. But in the wet marshes outside the city, a terrible monster waits. Said to be a misshapen man, descended from those who first brought evil into the world, Grendel was awakened by the noise of human joy. He burst into the hall, devouring anyone he could grab. But while many people died, his reign of terror was only beginning. Every night for the next 12 years, Grendel came down to feast on more unlucky souls. Stories of Denmark's suffering spread far and wide, but only one man was brave enough to offer his help. Beowulf, a prince of the Geats from what is now Sweden, had a burning wish to do great deeds, so he sailed the dangerous Whale Road to help the Danes. After a warm welcome, Beowulf placed himself in the hall, waiting for night to fall. The moment Grendel threw open the doors, he grabbed the creature's deadly claws. As they struggled, fixtures crashed down, goblets shattered, and mead benches burst into splinters. At last, Grendel gave a mighty pull, tearing off his own arm at the shoulder. Badly wounded, he ran back to his lonely swamp to die. When the Danes saw Beowulf holding Grendel's arm, they were filled with joy. But little did they know, an even deadlier beast was waking up. The next night, Grendel's mother came to avenge her son, tearing through the celebration and taking back her son's severed arm. Always the hero, Beowulf traveled over endless moors and sharp rocks to track the bride of Hel to her home, a dark lake filled with demonic reptiles. Beowulf bravely plunged into the water, sinking to the lake's strangely dry bottom where Grendel's mother was waiting. The warrior quickly realized his sword was useless against the demon, and his fists were only a little better. Then, as Grendel's mother tightened her grip around Beowulf's throat, his eyes fell on a legendary blade. He recognized it as a giant's weapon, so heavy that only a worthy man could use it. Unluckily for the monster, the prince was one such warrior. With one swift blow, Beowulf cut off Grendel's mother's head, filling her lair with cleansing, holy light. Returning to the hall in triumph, Beowulf was praised as the greatest hero in generations. But in the middle of the celebration, King Hrothgar warned the prince to stay humble and watchful against evil, which he would not always be able to fight off alone. Beowulf returned home and ruled a peaceful kingdom for many years. Yet after 50 years on the throne, he began to feel a growing unease. Sure enough, violence was rising on the edges of his kingdom. A servant had run underground to escape his cruel master, waking a sleeping dragon in the process. Knowing he could no longer defeat such a terrifying enemy by himself, the king gathered his soldiers. But his chosen warriors were too cowardly to fight. Only young Wiglaf, seeing his king in the heat of battle, stepped forward to face the challenge. The heroes dodged blasts of fire and claws as sharp as sickles, until suddenly the dragon sank its fangs into Beowulf's neck. Seeing his chance, Wiglaf stabbed the beast in the belly, and as it howled in pain, Beowulf called on his last bit of strength to finish the dragon with a simple dagger. With the monster gone and his final heroic deed complete, the king of the Ai Geats passed his title to Wiglaf, at last leaving the mortal world to join his ancestors in the next great adventure.